Hi, everyone, and happy Earth Day, and welcome to WAFA. WAFA is a nonprofit, and it's a community for Penn Wharton female founder and funders and friends. And we are about 4,000 members, and we have been around for 3 years. And if you want any more information, please visit our page, hellowafa.org. I will also post this information in our chat. So today I'm super excited to have Lucy and Nico here to talk about what they're doing, how they're creating opportunities that are both ecologically and economically sustainable. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Carol. Big thank you to you, Pam, and the rest of the WAFA board and team for having us. Happy Earth Day to everyone. We're super excited to be here to present this new paradigm for ecology and economy and all of the sustainability around it. I'm Lucy Sue.
I'm Nicholas.
And
hi to everyone.
We'll dive right into the presentation. So let's see. There we go. So a little bit about myself. I am Chinese American, living and working in Athens, Greece, based out of Athens, Greece primarily. And for the last 5 years, I left New York City and came to Athens with a very strong passion for understanding the roots of the Silk Road, given my background and my roots, and came to Athens seeing with a background in technology consulting as well as marketing, and being a undergrad, having an undergrad degree from the Wharton School to take that skill set, put it to the test in this market, this emerging arena. Over the last 5 years, I've been building a company called Port Global that is specifically working in Greece and other emerging arenas, scouting, understanding the lay of the land, the potential for innovation in emerging areas, emerging ideas, kind of understanding how to bridge the worlds that I come from and to create value and create interesting developments for the arenas.
And I'm Nicholas. So hi to everyone. I'm French, a photographer and professor with 2 decades long experience in the Amazon region, the Amazon Basin. So sorry in advance for my English. I will try my best and we can go.
So together, Nicholas and I bridged our backgrounds, our experiences, and the markets that we're working in to create this concept called the Global Portal, which is essentially a new paradigm for understanding and bridging ecology and economy in order to create this uncharted Silk Road, Silk Corridor that we call it, to provide a bridge for all sustainability initiatives by way of a very specific component that we'll introduce later in the presentation. So to start off, let's take a look at our current landscape, our current environmental landscape. So the Amazon rainforest, as we're all familiar with, heard of, it's very, very vital for our planet. It is the biggest rainforest in the world, and it's responsible for nearly half of the global oxygen supply, among other critical resources. And the Amazon, along with all its other pan-tropical sister rainforests across the globe, are essentially what is keeping us alive through providing the majority of the world oxygen. And so what's the problem now? The problem now is that the Amazon rainforest and its sisters are being burned and clear cut. And this poses a threat to us and our survival because we need oxygen to live. And at the core of it, if we continue burning it and we kind of keep moving in this trajectory that we're moving in, then we will have a very limited time left on the planet in the conditions that we are living in right now. The timeline from before was 10 years left to kind of resolve everything to if we were moving in the same direction. And then in very timely news, the United Nations released a climate report earlier this month, which summarized that carbon emissions from the last decade have never been higher in human history, which means that emissions have to peak. We have to take care of things by the next 3 years to prevent disastrous climate change effects. And so all of this could seem overwhelming, can seem like a lot of information, but the good news is there are now steps being taken, and not only is it a general nice concept to be able to try to affect positive change to save the planet, quote unquote, but
so we understood there that the basic line that we understood that the planet is not infinite, the resources are not infinite either, neither the oxygen is eternal or the water, so is the water, all the critical resources that the humankind is needing. So not such a long time ago, we were knowing already that the Amazon, as Lucy mentioned, had 10 years ahead. The most highest scientific around were mentioning this with clear facts. Now we discovered, like this month, that it's not 10 years, but 3 years ahead. Because it's by the simple fact that it's an ecosystem, everything is connected. So like the law of offer and demand, if there is less nature, then there is more problematic coming and everything is connected, which is actually opening a lot of possibilities to resolve, because as everything is connected, we can find ways to resolve this problematic easily.
Yes, and in the same theme, Al Gore said it very well at a conference in 2019, saying that combating climate change is not just our life or death struggle, but actually the single biggest investment opportunity in history. So here we're already seeing the beginnings of small bridgings between ecology and economy, because quite simply put, without ecology, there is an economy. So let's take a little closer look at conservation finance, green finance, impact investing, sustainability, kind of everything that's in this sphere that we have heard of. The good news is there's a lot of recent investments, kind of recent positive trajectories, exponential differences and increases in investment into the sphere since years prior. In the last 5 years, 2.8 trillion has been invested into climate finance globally. And more institutional investors that are managing most of the world's wealth are stepping up and saying that, recognizing that it takes an entire concerted effort in order to make a positive change in our climate action. Which means that we're also recognizing that investing in nature means investing in life, means investing in our life. And then from the tech side of things in the VC world, VCs, this was also a news that dropped this month. VCs are actually scaling up their climate software investments. They've been doing so in the last year or so, and then in the last quarter to 6 months to 2 quarters, they have significantly scaled up their software investments in climate tech. So we're seeing this urgency, we're seeing all of this movement towards this, this direction in the financial world. And then we're also seeing this major shift of basically what we think of now as green finance. So all of these terms, sustainability investment, impact investment, et cetera, is really moving towards to just being finance. This is the new paradigm, the new world scenario that we're living in. And this is great because it produces opportunities, not just economically, but exponential opportunities ecologically. So we're seeing that something called the rise, something called nature capital be on the rise right now. So nature capital specifically is the world's stock of natural resources. This is the air we breathe, this is the water we drink, this is all of the living organisms around us that we're living next to. And then from an investment standpoint, it is a new thematic that is really valuing, placing the intrinsic value of our ecosystems at the forefront of investment decisions. Because if we are to sustain our current way of life, we have to really start placing a true value on the quality of water, the importance of the health of our soils, our oceans, our forests, to really make that positive impact that we need to work towards a better world. So then from the life and living part of things, 47% of the wealth in low income countries actually depends directly on this nature capital. And from the investment side, 88% of sustainable funds actually outperform their non-sustainable counterparts, both in the short term and the long term. So this is showing us that as the climate is changing, the premium of not just operating a sustainable way, but actually actively finding solutions for sustainability is paying off, and investing in nature pays off. So saving our lives is not opposite to making money and not opposite to making living off of this nature capital. But the one major challenge, of course, is greenwashing. So greenwashing, as we know, is really putting a green label on things, companies putting green labels on things that aren't necessarily generating any real improvement for the environment, and in a lot of cases are actually working against the environment. So the threat of greenwashing traditional corporations, traditional investments without any real sustainable improvements. The problem here is that a lot of people see a price, a lot of people see all of these great opportunities for investment, et cetera, rather than a true intrinsic value. But price alone is not enough to answer the questions of our planet. And we really need to start imagining success as the impact that we can have, not only the green that goes into our pockets. So it's time that our economic relationship to ecology has to change. And now we have the ability to achieve that. So the opportunity that we see here is bridging ecology and economy.
So to come back to the field, we are, as we explained quickly, we are coming back from 6 months in Brazil, the Amazon rainforest. We went up the river till the border of Peru and Colombia, and there is a problematic. So we all know that, as Lucy was explaining, that the rainforest right now, the Amazon and all the small forest sisters, are disappearing, are being burned, are being invaded. And you have people living there since millenniaries. We all know about this: Amerindians, Maroons, communities, local people. So the problem, one of the huge problems, is that we can't arrive there in the biggest rainforest in the world and saying, okay, this from now on will be a reserve. We want, for you, because we are not living there, you won't touch anything. You won't fish, you won't hunt. You will stop eating, you will stop even drinking the water there. This is not feasible, this is not reasonable, and this is not even viable. And this is not even possible because nobody will follow it. It's as we are part of nature. So how can we, with the people living there, how can we work together in sort of partnership to change, to shift this problematic? How can we bridge ecology and economy? They need to survive. They need alternative incomes. So as we were saying in the presentation, ecology and economy are generally seen as two parallels who never touch when they are actually going in the same direction as parallels. So how can we bridge it?
So how can we bridge it? We are here to present a hidden key. But before we reveal it, we'd like to throw this question out to everyone. Which living element of our planet supports and links all plants, animals, oxygen, water, and therefore us?
Which living element is connecting, supporting, linking that make a synthesis of all natural process of the planet?
So if anyone wants to,
so if anyone wants to
unmute or throw their answer into the chat. No takers.
No.
Oh, we have one. Let's see. Oxygen.
Yeah, it's connected. You're close. Rose, you're close. Your close is connected to oxygen. That's actually creating, that's what it's creating, the oxygen through photosynthesis.
Lori says us, what we contribute.
We take a lot of oxygen, but we can help the people working for us. The pollinators.
The sun. Close. So
close. Sun is connected to, yeah, of course, with photosynthesis. pollinators. We all understand what include pollinators.
Yes, Lord.
The insects, the birds, especially the bees. We all know the principle of photosynthesis, the transfer of pollen to allow fertilization. So we all know what plant does, to answer to the one who talked about the sun. Photosynthesis is creating oxygen between many other things that we actually don't know. And an important factor about those pollinators we're talking about right now is that they are all around the world.
And in this quote that's commonly attributed to Albert Einstein, if the bee disappeared off the face of the earth, we would only have 4 years left to live. So very significant, these pollinators. We're all directly connected, and specifically to bees. So we propose the rediscovering of an ancient resource. This resource has been around, specifically first discovered or dated to the Mayan period, so prehistoric ancient Mayan. And then right now, this very specific pollinator is being sought after for a very specific compound and element that is in the honey that she produces. And this compound is also dates the use of which, because of its heavy medical, medicinal properties, dates back to Chinese and Indian Ayurvedic times through Mesopotamia through today. So who is this? This is a very specific bee that we believe is our key to unlocking the Amazon.
Saying the Amazon and all the pantropical and subtropical region. She's all around the world, as we said right now.
And by extension, our key to unlocking climate change. So to get to know her a little better, she is a native stingless bee that is also referred to as Melipona.
So she has this specificity about all the other bees. As Lucy is explaining, she's a stingless. So it's very important. She's not a killer bee, what we call the killer bee, or not or the most aggressive, but she's just defending herself, not attacking, which is very specific and singular. We're going to see why later.
And she was known to produce the nectar of the gods. She's known to produce the nectar of the gods from the ancient Mayan times because her honey is also delicious, and we'll get into that after.
We saw that someone mentioned the National Geographic's article which has been published, I think, 2 weeks ago, about the stingless bee making a liquid miracle, which is absolutely true. It's in Peru, where we just went, and this article was published with 2 of our main partners on this project. So we're going to talk about them later on.
And to talk more about her honey, so in modern day, science and medicine, her honey is studies on this honey of the stingless bee is still quite nascent, but what has been revealed over recent research over the last decade or so is that this honey actually has 10 times more naturally occurring micronutrients than traditional honey. Traditional honey being the honey that we are all used to, that we are familiar with. And this traditional honey is produced by the bees that do attack, that sting us. So again, the stingless bee honey actually has 10 times more naturally occurring micronutrients and antibiotic properties.
She also has anti-cancer properties. She has fructose. She has a lot less sugar, as it's fructose and not saccharose. Then even people with diabetes can take it, between many other qualities. And
she has close to 50% greater antioxidant activities than traditional honey. That translated into actual practice, that means it's seen to treat COVID-19 among other major viruses and bacteria, highly defensive against UV rays, exponentially more defensive than our traditional methods now, sunblock, etc. Weight loss, diet management, cancer prevention, everything that also Nicolas just mentioned.
And still to be discovered, because we don't know what we know right now, that at the biggest branch of cosmetic in the world, even the biggest, we won't say any name, but the biggest is doing research on this special molecule that this honey has.
So we believe that, again, this is the key to bridging ecology and economy. And this is why, because the stingless bees specifically pollinate anywhere between 40 to 90% of the plants that we see on our plates every day. Therefore, they contribute to perpetuating the ecosystem of biodiversity, increasing food supply. So very fundamental for our survival.
And let's be clear, we are talking just about the natural pollination, because we see that we can, as this bee is stingless, she doesn't bite, and we can settle it in the greenhouse, for example, to make the production exponential. It's a win-win. But for now, Lucy is just mentioning the natural pollination. Just let them do their work. They are actually saving us, literally.
Yes, and as an extension to that, the stingless bee is also known to be, quote, less picky than the traditional bee, so can be settled quite anywhere, like Nicolas said. Not fussy about where you place her.
And fun fact, she can have numerous queens. She's not fighting for power, which is very interesting for our societies. So when there is many queens, numerous queens, then they work better, they are stronger. So the highest scientist, like David Rubik, which is American, David Rubik, the greatest specialist about this bee, is talking about mutualism. So actually we should learn about this bee. Actually, it's a very fascinating way to organize her society.
So now that we've learned about her ecological, deep ecological impacts from the economic side, this honey and all of the surrounding income from pollination and its derivatives is actually already producing sustainable income for local communities, and exponentially benefiting the broader socioeconomic fabric of these communities. The more formal programs, which we'll go into, was actually created about a decade ago by Malaysia. So we're really seeing a lot of sustainable income through these formal networks around this bee. And this bee, where does she live? So you can find her in the pan-tropical and subtropical belts of the world. So you can see kind of the in and around that equator area. So specifically the Amazon, in and around the Congo, and Southeast Asia. So let's talk about more about the application, more about the specific worlds of the three areas that she's living in. So as Nicolas mentioned, we just came back from a 6-month fieldwork trip in Brazil.
With the picture you can see there of the field. So just to tell a bit about the story we can see there. So now, as we know, we have a lot of huge area being destructed in the Amazon. So what we are doing right now, that's how the project began, when you had a huge development project from the governments in place, the communities were calling us when they were seeing this bee, this specific bee. This bee is living as its hives in the trunks most of the time. So when the tree that as you can see on the picture were fallen already, we were going there with the communities and we were listening, so the song of the bee, to find out where the hives were. And where we were finding out the nest, as you can see in the picture, then we were just transferring the nest to bring it to the village, to the community, and settling the nest inside the school. We will explain later why and how. So that's what we are seeing in the picture. So we are going with the children to make them understand how we can save those bees, and then understand about the pollination that they already know, but the climate threat and everything is coming. That's a concern every one of us.
And then outside of the communities, we spoke with different partners, both local, public and private institutes that are working on initiatives related to this bee or just general environmental protection, etc.
And we were, as we were on the border of Peru, to explain you a bit, to get an image, close to where was written the article in National Geographic, actually, a bit further. there is a region called the Valley of Javali. It's where you have the last non-contacted communities on Earth, actually. So it's really the heart of the Amazon. And of course, the problematic there is that when you arrive, so they know a lot more than us, of course, because they are there since thousands of years, and the Amazon is still there, alive and very well. And the problematic is that when we arrive, when the foreigner is arriving, and he arrives always, we bring a lot of catastrophic problems. He arrives to take over the land, change everything, explain them how they must act and everything. So they are used, there is no acrimony, there's no conflict, but they are used to protect their knowledge. Because many times we have seen people arriving and even putting a patent on their knowledge. And now they can't even use their knowledge. So more than just a simple reserve that telling them that now you can't touch anything, you can't fish and everything. We arrived with gold mining and everything. So in some of those regions, the children are being born right now. If they eat more than 2 fish a week, they can have prenatal problems, for example. That's what we are bringing them. So when we arrive, anyone arriving, so that we protect the knowledge. They won't pass it by like really fluently. You need to be from there. You need to know the community, how it works. And you need times. And so that's the problem. So to help to preserve these pollinators, we need time and we need perception and education on both sides. We need to reconnect on both sides, from the local side to the highest experts on the field, scientists, everything. So that's what we are working on right now.
And then also there were kind of somewhere in between, so not in the remote communities, but there were producers already that were in places like Florianopolis, in Sao Paulo, that were already producing this honey, trying to make a little bit of income out of it. But again, the problem that we saw was related to knowledge, education. We saw that everybody was kind of in their own corner. So one person perhaps knew how to settle the nest, another person knew how to, bottle the honey, another person knew how to ferment the honey, another person might know how to export the honey.
In Chiapas, in clay pot, under earth, like many, each corner has its own knowledge and vanishing knowledge, because no, it's not necessary to say that when we arrive, those populations go away. And when they go away, we were talking about oral culture, oral language. So when they go away, all the knowledge is gone and done. So talking about medicinal properties and everything, each region has its particularities.
Yeah, and because because the oral language is holding generations of knowledge around this bee, around every other aspect that is core to the earth, then we need to find a way to preserve it. So again, the key challenges that we found in the region, everything that Nicolas mentioned, plus a general lack of awareness as well. Right now, there's some press that's also saying that pollination is bad. Yeah,
so let's be clear. Too much oxygen is not is healthy for us. There's not too much oxygen, there's not too much pollinators. People are mixing a different type of pollinators. They are pollinators more or less aggressive. So there is a problem of genetic diversity. When you settle, for example, the nest, there is a trend right now in the biggest city to put hives on the rooftop of the buildings, everything. This can be good, but if it's done too much, then it can change the local genetic biodiversity. But this is not the case about this bee, which is defensive, as we explained before.
And then there was also, for the producers that are already selling it kind of, through Instagram shops or websites, etc., they expressed that there's a huge lack of consumer education, a huge lack of awareness around the actual product itself. People don't know about the high medicinal properties. People are deeply, highly undervaluing it. And so there's just a lot of work to be done around creating a network. So all of these components can be together and to elevate the status of this bee and preserve the knowledges around it. So moving eastward so this covers Brazil, everything, all of our on the ground field work. Now, we've also been
We realized that from Mexico, Chiapas to the south of Amazonia, and perhaps with other community, there was like quite a native collective. There was the same problematic, and those people that we call those people in those regions we call underdeveloped region actually were at the forefront of what is awaiting all of us with destruction of the environment, and they were at the forefront of really of what's happening all around. So there was a community of problematic and sensitivity anywhere we were going. So we began to investigate if there was not the same problematic all around the planet, perhaps in eastward, going eastward and everything. And that's where we saw the case of Southeast Asia.
And specifically Malaysia. Malaysia has really been at the forefront of the stingless bee market and industry. They have been really pioneering technologies, programs, initiatives, like that case we saw before with actually sustainable income. They have even gone as far as to put the cameras on the bees to track their flight patterns. So they've been doing this for the last decade or two, and are really pioneering this path forward.
And fascinating, as we mentioned in the introduction, they are doing this with this very interesting to put in contrast, to contrast the knowledge about Amazonia, Asia, which are actually the same origin, but as we said, in China, it was like 5,000 years before Christ. So it's very interesting to see those contrasts of extreme modern stuff with ancient knowledge that needs to be preserved.
And one specific application of this was the Reinventing Honey project, honey quality project that was established about a decade ago. And it transformed the stingless bee industry in Malaysia into a sustainable source of income through two main areas. The first is they activated bee conservation services for plant and crop pollination, and then they created channels to be able to target different socio-economies and ecology. And as a result, they've become one of the leading markets for the stingless bee industry and have pioneered a lot of ways to measure the impact, to measure the actual economic value. For example, the measured impact is the economic value of crop pollination by stingless bees in Malaysia in 1 year. So the annual market for this is 19 million.
So this is only, I repeat, but it's very important. This is only for crop pollination, not natural pollination, which happen everywhere. This is just the settling of some nests in some fields for crop pollination. So imagine the honey on top of this, the production, huge production, because they don't settle nests everywhere yet. So now imagine also this is only for Malaysia, a small country the size of Ecuador, Poland, or Norway. I think this is three times smaller than the US, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we're talking about already huge number. So this is a huge point too, that the number three, this is that it's such, in few years, it can double easily. If nature is disappearing, already problematic arrive, like we talked about ecosystem. No pollinators, no photosynthesis, no plants, no water, etc., etc. More fire, more problem.
And then on a broader scale, a 2008 measure took that the economic value of pollination across the world is 217 billion. So again, this was from 2008. We are now in 2022, where the Amazon rainforest is burning at a rate that is far faster than was in 2008, along with everything else that's contributing to this climate environment.
As it was reported 2 weeks ago by the IPCC, by United Nations.
So again, as Nicolas had said, for the crop pollination stat, this number could very easily be doubled as well. But again, 2008, 217 billion for pollination alone worldwide. We're going to get into the honey, the economics of the honey after this.
So now let's talk about the solution.
The solution stems from our identification of this common challenge, which is, again, the lack of network. So we saw in Brazil that everybody was in their own corner. We see on the global level that people are still in their own corner. Malaysia's over here, Southeast Asia and Southeast Asia, the Amazon, but everyone really, the stingless bee is in all of these regions. Knowledge is being created in all of these regions. Ancient knowledges are being transferred in all of these regions.
And what was connecting the heart of the Amazon, of the lung of the planet, to Kuala Lumpur or Congo? This is a simple thing. It's that when we were arriving in the most remote places, villages, communities, 20 people, 10 people, 5 people living together, there were only one thing that was remaining: a school. A school, simple. So that was the only existing network that could connect and link the highest public sectors from the government, the states, and private interest. It was already school everywhere.
So this is the key to our new economic vision, which is?
We decided to connect then this existing network through this pollinator.
To bridge ecology and economy, and the hidden key being the knowledge that honey is power, and more specifically, why it is power, is that 1 liter of this stingless bee honey, the living proof of pollination, the living proof that there's oxygen, that there's trees, that we have plants and food supply, is worth 300 euros per liter at least.
So let's highlight a point here. This is more than average of a salary of a local teacher in those regions.
Which is the sustainable income part of it and is the economic part. So this is the bridge between ecology and economy. And
it's not about just about local income. It's about also alternative income. It's about social tissue.
So how do we transform this into something that is actionable, scalable? As Nico mentioned, all of these regions, what do they have in common? They have in common schools. And so this is where the rollout of this initiative is happening in 2 phases. The first of which is the school nest work.
So we are seeing more or less, you can see on the picture, this is on the border of Suriname, Oriental Amazon. So we were going into the village and searching for the honey. They were calling us and to search the hives and to just save it, to bring it to the local school. You can see here a school. There is quite nothing, not even chairs. Nothing, but just children wanting to learn, wanting to participate. So doing so, we realized 6 years ago, we realized that there was an absolutely gigantic potential for it. It was zero investment. We're just removing a nest and settling it in another place, in a strategical place in the community. And quite all those people had a nest in the garden, hidden somewhere and everything. So just settling those nests inside the strategical place on the center of the village was allowing the children to understand that the nest was like a prolongation of the school. And doing so, the school was a prolongation of the house. And doing so, when the children then were coming back to the house, they were looking at the elders, learning from the old generation about this vanishing knowledge. And those children learning how to write were beginning to translate the language, selling it, passing it by naturally. And the best, it was not theoretical, it was practical. They were doing so with the living proof of pollination, producing the honey. And on the base of what? Just on the base of just listening the bee, learning where it was, and the investment was zero, just settling the nest. If the nest is taking, is living, is living. If it's not, Jane will change the nest. There is zero loss, zero investment.
And now taking the school nest work and extending it on the transnational level, the next phase is the second phase is the interactive platform. So this is an interactive platform that we are building now to.
How can we connect all the schools? This nest, what we call the nest work, the connective nest. How can we connect the school? How can we connect the language? Because as we were saying, they are all at the forefront of what is awaiting all of us, each one of us. So now it's like an emergency to connect those knowledge from the highest level in public states to the interregional communities, through the highest scientists to the small teacher. This field knowledge, how can we connect it from the Amazon, the earth, the left of the planet, to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Africa, where we can see the same problematics?
Well, the other thing, in addition to the school, that the regions have in common is also, albeit sometimes limited, internet access. So this interactive platform will live online and will be a platform that is facilitating exchange and mapping all of the various initiatives and school network
initiative, because we know, as we say, that 30% of people in the Amazon and many regions in Africa live under the poverty levels that we know. But so most of them don't have a bank account, but they have access to internet.
So what's ahead? We are now developing the network, and after mapping the Latin American, South American region, all of the public, private institutions, as well as the communities, we are going eastward. So we will continue mapping out the network, headed to Malaysia to understand exactly the just how they're at the forefront of the stingless bee industry, how they are conditioning the market, etc. And all of this to be able to facilitate what we like to call the 5 Ps: people, pollinators, product, profit, and ultimately
for our planet.
And so more than just the Silk Road, it is an integral biological, economical silk corridor that will bridge all of these components. And now we welcome you to the era of the new silk corridor, paved with liquid gold. So
this is already happening. So now we can let you process the information. If you have any question during so, we can see a small diaporama of the picture already taken in this last trip. So we can see the bee right there, the children. So saving what's going to be lost in the dead trunk. So we can see this is a very specific hive from this bee. Children discovering it, saving it, and bringing it into the school. And here we are.
And here we are.
So
thank you for listening. We welcome any and all questions.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It was incredible. So incredible work, incredible presentation. It's so inspiring. So thank you for being here and sharing all of this with us. So I guess my question to you was, you said, like, I believe in the beginning of your presentation, you talked about being able to prove, like, there's a lot of greenwashing. So how are you thinking about creating the metrics for your business to be able to prove its value?
So can I begin?
Yeah, please.
So there is some specificities around these pollinators. These pollinators are, as we said, is defending itself. So this is not, let's say, this is not industrial pollinators. The production of this honey is very, very low and very slow. So first thing is that we can't, let's say, erase a huge part of the rainforest to settle 5,000 nests, and this will never work with this bee. So this is on a very pragmatical answer level. This is this. Secondly, through these pollinators, and I think I will answer more to your question. Number two is that what we are actually presenting is quite a huge shift in I say our, we are part of it, our societies. As we saw with IPCC, we need to change the models. We need to change the paradigm. The economy can't follow like this. The planet is not infinite. The growth is not infinite. This is not possible. This is not viable. This is not existing. Planet is finite. The resources are finite. Without oxygen, no economy. So what's happening right there through like underlining this initiative, this is a literal change, shift of paradigm. Sorry for my English again, I'm trying my worst. So what's happening right there is that we are changing the dynamic. The communities need incomes. They need money, even if the biggest reserve on the planet, in the Amazon, in the Madidi Park in Bolivia, they need money. The director contacted us because they told us we need this initiative. We need them to survive. Otherwise, they will click the forest. They need to survive. This is normal. This is what we did in Europe, in US, everywhere. The human arrives somewhere, he destroys everything. First of all, he will cut everything. This is like our nature, I would say. And then we forget we are part of nature. We think we are superior, but it's not problematic. The shift here that we are seeing with a lot of joy, with necessity, this is that preserving the environment right now with zero investment, financial zero investment, just removing a nest and settling the nest inside the school already existing. We are connecting social interest, public interest, private interest, all the layers of societies. And people realize that with an investment of zero, that they don't have, they can earn alternative incomes on short term, medium term, and long term. And this is good for all of us. So this is quite a mini revolution, actually, because doing so, preserving the environment, they are earning a lot more directly, instantly. And once again, with zero investment, it's not a project of billions of euro or dollar. No, this is happening right there, right now. So this is quite a mini revolution. We don't need a lot like to change this. This is happening right now. Naturally, if the nest is taking life, then perfect, we let it. And children are happening, children are learning, children are participating. The next generation is participating. This is an investment of quite €0 on many generations and from now on. So I don't know if I'm answering the question of what you were asking. I don't know if I'm answering well, but this is quite a mini revolution, financially, economically.
And then I would say from the specific metrics standpoint, it is quite literally the settling of the nest in the schools, how many schools there are, how many nests are settled per school, depending on the species of the stingless bee that is in the nest, how many liters are being produced by that nest. And then we have the not just the sustainable income number, which is that €300 per liter number, but also because it's the nest, the honey is the living proof of pollination. It is from that we can back into what's the impact on like oxygen production, on tree production, etc. So that's kind of the more specific hard metrics, environmental KPIs side of it.
Thank you. So I think Lori had some questions that she put in the chat. Everybody, please unmute yourself and ask questions if you have any.
So Lori's question, what can an individual do to help?
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I've got pages of questions. You've piqued my interest and my curiosity.
So we are now that we are creating the network between the school and everything, there will soon be sort of internship. We are always talking about partnership, but there will be soon some internship. For, as we said, this platform will be an exchange, a partnership between all the layers of societies, private, public, local, field, indigenous, higher scientists, and everyone will be able to exchange. So if people want to go in those schools, learn about the children learn about this, they will soon be able to do so through this platform that is being built right now. This is the aim of the platform.
And then also another aim is to, for those that can't make the actual trip, actually can, but are interested in the honey, are interested in making the impact, to actually kind of bridge the interested party with the school, the nest work, the region where they want to impact in, and actually be able to buy that honey. So kind of being a platform that allows you to see that.
And third part is that now we are creating the structure of the conditioning, because it's very fragile honey. So people will be able to trace the honey. When people will buy, for example, a small pot of honey of the price of, I don't know, coffee or whatever, they will know where this honey is coming from. They will know that this money they are investing with the price of a coffee is going directly to this school. They will finance the school, and there will be new exchanges being created by itself, quite organically. So this is the next part of the project right now, the conditioning. And people will learn about this, where they are investing this, what we can hardly see now in our government, like we don't know where going, our taxes and everything. With this type of project, we can see it clearly. And then it's like a sort of native collective, as we mentioned it before. Like the people, we see what they can do, like quite naturally too, depending on the region, depending if people wants to go in some region, everything. So that's what's happening right now.
There's another good question from Tanaya, which is, if we're working to sell and export the honey, how do we make sure we do that sustainably and don't overexploit the resources?
For now, there are already, as we said, we are working with the already existing network, so the school. And when we're, for example, the school, and also when we arrive in those Vallée du Javari, the most remote places of the Amazon, when we arrived, it was quite a funny anecdote. We arrived there and we are in a small village. It was 15 days of boat, I think. Then we arrived in small village. We took another boat, like half an hour in the mangrove, and we arrived in a small village, just revealing anecdote. And in this village, we arrived to know about the knowledge of this community, the Chikuna, that they are mentioning, I think, in the National Geographic article. And there was a community, a cooperative of 80 women working already on this honey handcraft, passing by language and everything, already existing structure, social structure. So they were far away from Me Too or whatever, but we were actually surprised with Lucy discovering that, positively surprised that the world is going well. They're already cooperative working on. So now it just, once again, it's just about connecting those different strata of societies, of those regions who will never meet either way, of those interests, public and private, who will never cross. Now this project allowed the possibility of bridging.
Okay, just a follow-up question. If the scale, so right now there's those 80 women, they can produce a certain amount of honey that is being produced now. Is your goal to like increase production? And if so, I guess that's my question. Like, if the idea is that people from all over the world can buy this honey, how are we getting it to them in a way that's responsible to the environment?
This honey is at the base of 300 euros, $350. Now I think
right, yeah,
they're the same. For the most basic one, we're not talking about the specified one, that they call baptized one, where you will focus on some medicinal plants, special type of mangrove, of lian and everything. So the price can increase to 500 or more, which not everyone can actually buy. So as we were saying, one of the base thing is that it will never be an industrial production. It can be, it can't. Mm-hmm. This protected. Then, of course, to answer you more specifically, as Einstein was saying, when he discovered the atom, the layers and everything, and before the atomic bomb, some journalists asked him, but do human will use it against human? And Einstein answered immediately, look, if there is a possibility, human will do, will make it. So, of course, people will do things not really proper through these pollinators. We already are seeing, for example, there is a danger of when people will know that they can have an alternative income of $500 about this litter in this tree. A lot of people want to cut the tree, of course. This is human. You see this. So, but this is not actually a danger. Right now, we are working on the first phase, which is just more pollinators, which is an emergency. But of course, this is an interesting question, and we'll soon have those problematics. But right now, this is not the problematic.
Yeah, but it's an excellent question because we've also, we get it a lot, and it's different than other products that we know from the region, such as like acai and coffee, because it's like Nico mentioned, it's capped. So it's basically, it's capped on the production, the very specific, and that's why it is, the value is so high. And then the second part is also, again, it's too much is not bad for the environment right now. Right now, it's the more pollinators we have, the better we have.
Yeah, no, not thinking too much bees, but just too much, like if there are too many boats that need to get it out of there, then too many planes, then too many, like the rest of the shipping is more kind of what I was thinking about, not the bees themselves. Obviously, more bees is always good.
Excellent question. And it's very important. This question is very important because we need to specify exactly the different type of pollinators, more or less aggressive. This bee is not stressing out the environment. This specific bee.
Right. Yeah. Not the bee itself, just the rest of the human activities around.
No. This human will remain human. Yes.
To the logistics point, what's interesting is because it's so remote and because it is, literally 15 days. Just as to be able to reach, you have to go by boat. There's no airports, etc. Big corporations have tried to export other items, whether it's fish or other like local resources out, and they pull out immediately because it's very, like, the logistics are just impossible right now for somebody to be able to come and exploit exploit the resources. So that has kind of that going for it, where it's because it's so remote, people can't access it. And that will only be for so long, unfortunately, but that is one of the barriers right now to protect it.
Natural.
Cool, Thanks. It's very interesting.
Is the goal to keep it limited?
Sorry?
Is the goal to keep it limited or to build it out to more communities,
I think
these are so critical.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think the exchanges will increase about those properties because everything is to be done. That's the fascinating point and the fascinating thing about this project. We are actually, not we, the communities and everything, we are pioneering. We are rediscovering this vanished knowledge since the Maya, since the Mesopotamia. We are rediscovering it, so everything is to be done. We are working with legislators actually to allow this honey to exist, because for the international trade, this honey is not existing because it's more liquid. This is not honey for international trade. For now, it's not, we can't even export it officially. So it's really singular demand on specific demand that it can be brought to other continents, even inside the different state of the Amazon. So everything is to be done, everything, even legislation.
So in your ideal view and world, what would success look like?
What will success, sorry?
Look like? I mean, like, what is your end goal? Because I mean, what pops into my head are some, global partners like CARE, for example, building communities, giving them finances, raising their quality of life standard. But you talk about being remote, you talk about capped resources. So that's why I want to understand, are you looking to keep it small and tight, or are you looking to, bring it to the world for medicinal purposes and, quality of life, extending the life of the planet by putting this most valuable resource where it can be more easily shared and grown?
Let's say there's not a ultimate goal, but let's say the right direction is simply put, with my very, very bad English, sorry again, to just make appear to anyone that a change is possible and already happening. This shift, this huge, humongous transition that humanity is assisting right now with the shift in economy in so many layers of society, the need of states, the need of investment, so many things happening. And just understanding, but all of us, not only the communities, but all layers of society, understanding that we can grow, we can invest in life and earning a lot more. This is already a huge success.
Yes, so I'd say at the top qualitative level, it looks like awareness. Because right now,
Education.
yeah, we joke, but it's a little bit like don't look up with the new UN report that came out.
Yes.
We have 3 years left. So I guess more practically speaking, the platform will also be a hub where people can track the forest fires and in conjunction with track the actual climate change in conjunction with the actual contrast to it, which is the pollinators. And then second to that, to preserve the knowledge, to enable exchange between the actual suppliers of it. And then I think the question connects nicely to what Tanai had asked before. The goal isn't to expose these remote communities and to have everybody come in and like take all of the honey and et cetera, but rather it's to bring light onto the regions, whether they're remote or not, that are contributing to the perpetuation of the native pollinator, and then bringing light to more of those regions across the globe. So not trying to necessarily have the women's collective meet a certain quota of leaders, but actually understanding where the remote women's collectives or other ancient groups are across that belt that we saw, because there's so many that are tucked away everywhere that only the local regions or local institutes know about. And that's what the first layer of success looks like to us, to bring light to everything that's happening, and to bring light onto the regions that are actually positively kind of keeping us alive right now.
So, and we are seeing this happening as we said, that the biggest park in Bolivia contacted us, the director. Then we are in contact with the French National Education. We need also a program like this to connect, to bridge all those layers of society in the most remote region of the planet to the biggest cities and everything, with a common interest actually already happening. This is already happening. But we just need to highlight it. This is there. It's just and that's what WAFA is allowing us to do today. And
Thank you.
any other question?
I guess I have a question. So do you believe that by making these small communities more sustainable, economically more sustainable, do you feel like they will continue to invest in their land versus, will it protect the forest by doing this? Or do you think that this won't affect the deforestation of the Amazon?
So there is a risk of, as we mentioned, very good question. There is a risk of people knowing, there is $500 there, let's cut this tree. Of course there is. But for the majority of the people, for the real reality of the field, when you arrive there, and we saw this with Lucy, when you arrive in the school and the fathers see that the teacher is just bringing a nest, teaching the children how to create alternative incomes from the school, from the community, from the family and everything, and huge alternative incomes. Which father will say, no, this is a bad idea, my son, don't go to school, the teachers are bad and everything. So quite naturally, quite instantly, there is something settling. They are all in a huge of getting incomes, surviving, as we say, for the conservation, everything. They need to eat, but they need money too. And this is the fastest, the easiest, and the more organic way, let's say, to get it, to reach this point where the shift is happening. There's no more federative project right now that these native pollinators or actually all around the world.
So yes, the hope is to be able to, well, it's already positively changing the social fabric, but also to give them resources, which in today's society looks like cash money, to be able to continue doing what they're doing, to protect their land, to survive, instead of doing other activities that aren't sustainable, aren't helpful, aren't really positive for the social fabric, etc.
And even for let's say the other side of the society, the huge production, everything. Once thanks to Malaysia and other studies, like with numbers, real numbers, the huge producer also are seeing that just settling nests for crop pollination, the production is increasing 30%. So it's a win-win. There's not like people, let's say, embracing tree and blocking. No, no, it's literally a win-win. And we are all winning, like doing so. So it's not like terrorist things. The biggest producer, the wood cutter and everything, they can grow more wood and cut more wood. There's no problem. But this is again through pollination. This is resolving, unfolding conflict, a latent conflict that we have no time right now after the IPCC United Nations. We have no time for this. Now there's no more federative project than this one, and with the pollinators, which are actually right now while we are speaking working for us, with us, not only for us but with us. We need to acknowledge this. So to answer your question, if this already a point, this is already a success for us.
Thank you. Oh, okay. If there aren't any more questions, I just want to say thank for everybody showing up today. And thank you, Nicolas and Lucy, for being here with us and sharing this incredible work. And happy Earth Day to everyone. And I will send out the recording to everybody afterwards. And yeah, thank you so much for the work.
Thanks to Wharton and WAFA, because as we were saying, since we were invited, we received like the IPCC report. We saw publishing, look, everything going in the direction of what we are presenting right now. Thanks to you. So the National Geographic article, everything went on exactly on that direction. So thanks, Wafa.
Thank you.
Thank
Carol.
you. If you have any question, the people participating or anyone, you can reach us. Reach out. We have the. I think everyone has the contact. You can reach out, and we'll be happy to answer and to give direction if you want to participate. With a lot of pleasure. Everyone is welcome.
And to keep updates on the platform when it's live and how the network is developing.
This is now.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, for listening. Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Merci.
Happy Earth Day.
Merci à vous. Thank you.
Merci. See you soon.